In early 2013, consultations took place across Bhutan as part of an international effort by the United Nations seeking input into the global development agenda. In 2015, the Millennium Development Goals come to an end, and there is now an ongoing dialogue to decide what the global development agenda will be after 2015. Consultations are taking place in over 50 countries around the world and at all levels of society to gain inputs towards the future we want. In Bhutan, consultations took place in the capital Thimphu as well as across the country in the provinces of Bumthang, Tashigang, Samtijongkar and Samtsi. These consultations were organized by the United Nations in Bhutan and filmed by the Bhutan Broadcasting Service. The programs were organized with the support of the Gross National Happiness Commission of the Royal Government of Bhutan. Panelists for these consultations included civil servants, local leaders, teachers, agriculturists and members of the private sector, NGOs and CSOs, with the aim of getting input from all levels of society towards the future of Bhutan's development and the global development agenda after 2015. Around the country, people from all levels of society and from all backgrounds have been asked about what Bhutan's future development agenda should be. They have been asked what their priorities are for Bhutan's future and for the future development internationally. Gross national happiness was explored as an approach to development and whether it can help shape the world we want. People were also asked specifically what they thought Bhutan's development priorities should be.
The country is a little better known, having become a subject of curiosity for the way in which our development process in the last 3.5 decades has been guided by the philosophy of gross national happiness. GNH is based on the belief that the purpose of development and the role of the state is to create conditions within which people can pursue and find what they aspire for most in life: happiness. It is a holistic development paradigm to make human society resilient. It motivates an individual and society to consciously balance material wants with spiritual growth, wherein the needs of the body and those of the mind are addressed in equal measure within a stable and sustainable environment.
Since signing the Millennium Declaration in the year 2000, Bhutan has sought to achieve its Millennium Development Goals while still being guided by gross national happiness. GNH and the MDGs have acted synergistically in Bhutan to create deeper, more qualitative and more lasting development impact on the ground in this country.
GNH does provide a great platform because currently, I think a lot of people know and are aware that growth as we know is not what it's all turned out to be. We have a lot of discontentment amongst people. We have a lot of crisis in the economic system currently around the world. So GNH makes us pause and think about what is important and what is important for a nation, what is important for a community.
Happiness has sometimes been seen as too subjective of a goal for development, but in recent years, the concept has been operationalized and an index has been created to effectively measure GNH in Bhutan. The index is now being used as a foundation for policy planning.
This vision that has been presented by the Fort Drugelpo and the institutions concerned, particularly the Center for Bhutan Studies, have done a lot of work in trying to develop the indicators so that we can actually operationalize the idea of GNH as a development approach. Because without indicators, we really cannot measure, and without having something to measure, we cannot manage it.
In Bhutan's post-2015 consultations, 5 core issues arose again and again. It is thus proposed that the key elements of input from the Bhutanese voice towards the future we want are equitable and sustainable development, universal responsibility, equity and support for the vulnerable people, good governance, and holistic education. The first core issue is equitable and sustainable development. In Bhutan, people noted the necessity of equity in development in order to ensure the participation of women, an equal balance between the urban and rural development, and to address inequality and poverty.
I think the biggest issue in Bhutan is mainly the poverty, and I think it is mainly caused due to the inequality. Rich people get more opportunities and they get to attend more of the programs than the poor people, and so the poor people are left behind. They don't get any opportunities, or they don't get anything to attend the programs. So they are left backward, or they are left behind.
The biggest issues affecting poverty in Bhutan is migration. Some of the causes are due to losses of fertility of soil. Because of the low fertility of the soil, farmers cannot produce good amount of products, so they can't afford for their family.
Poverty in Bhutan are caused by many reasons. For instance, land sold for money. People sell the land to earn money, as land generates good prices. This eventually leads them to sell the land which could use for cultivation. When they sell the land, they are left with no place or neither leaf or land to work in. In order to put up, they have to rent a house, which is very expensive, and this is also an issue.
The resolution to this causes, I think it should be the government have to take the initiatives to bring the facilities in rural areas, so that the rural people get more of the facilities, and so they enjoy and they become happy.
A law should be enforced by the government, where one of the children from a family should be kept home to work on the fields. This way, we will help people working as an educated farmer and land not be left barren.
The youth of Bhutan should think and work towards eradication of poverty. If we eradicate poverty in our country, then we are achieving the goal of GNH. Poverty is what the people have created, and we can change it. Nothing is impossible. If we believe in ourselves, then we can do away with difference.
Participants across Bhutan agreed that universal responsibility is a key element in the future development agenda. They noted that humans are interdependent and that we need to be responsible towards each other and towards the natural environment. Additionally, spirituality and culture were key elements of this responsibility, as was the need for everyone, both men and women, young and old, to be engaged and to take part actively in society. Participants in Bhutan's consultations voiced the need for a framework where equity and support for the vulnerable are central in addressing development concerns. They agreed that this is a core element of any future development agenda. Consideration for the needs of vulnerable groups is considered crucial if the overarching goal is to realize a world of well-being and happiness for all. People in the new democracy of Bhutan agree that good governance is essential for the well-being of the country and its people, and see further development of its institutions as important for this goal, as well as balance between the various levels of government, civil society, and citizens at all levels. In all regions of Bhutan, it was agreed that no effective and long-term development can be made without a solid foundation of quality, holistic education. Additionally, voices from across the country said that education should be made available to all people, young or old, and should be oriented towards teaching about how to participate in society.
I feel that education will play an important role to change the dynamic of the education, how we educate our younger generation in a differently than now. Of course, we are trying to change our education system through GNH infused education.
In Bhutan, GNH has provided support for the country to realize its MDG targets. It has helped to ensure that development gains are not only material but also address the psychological and spiritual needs of human beings. While Bhutan has now achieved most of its MDG targets, GNH will help to ensure that these development gains are meaningful, qualitative, and lasting, and that progress continues to be made towards the future we want. The harmony between GNH and the MDGs will also ensure that priorities that the people of Bhutan expressed in the Post-2015 consultations are achieved. These priorities include equity and support for vulnerable people, equitable and sustainable development, good governance, universal responsibility, and holistic education. Across Bhutan, it was agreed that GNH provides a more inclusive, sustainable, and holistic approach to development, and this will be more successfully implemented with the help of indicators like the GNH Index. If applied appropriately, GNH can work synergistically within a global framework to help make development more deep and lasting and able to encompass the whole breadth of human development issues.
In the beginning, what we were based on, what we were trying to base on, what about the things that it's not measurable, the values, the family values that we always have. And that's why from outside, when they are so excited and they are seeking for alternative and they think that what we are doing is, what we are offering is something unique, is that that is different what they have, what the so many countries, the so-called developed countries have lost. So I think at least we have something to offer.
GNH basically comes in and tells the GDP-led development approach, to be mindful about the pace they are moving at in their pursuit of material gain. We have to remember that we live in a world where the natural resources are very limited. We cannot afford to go on exploiting it forever because it's not going to last forever. And we live in a environment where the ecological system is thinly balanced. So go with if the framework is useful to anybody outside beyond Bhutan.